Welcome to Authors Night with the East Hampton Library. This event is generously sponsored by CIBC Private Wealth Management, the Hilaria and Alec Baldwin Foundation, Patty Kenner, Barbara and Stephen Heyman, Michelle Tortorelli and Tom Kearns, and Janet Ross. I'm Dennis Fabiszak. I'm the Executive Director of the East Hampton Library, and I'm thrilled to be the interviewer tonight of Dr. Ruth Westheimer. Dr. Ruth is annually at our in-person Authors Night, and we're very, very happy she's able to join us online today since she couldn't be here in person. What would you like to tell us about some new projects that you're working on?
Okay, first, I have plenty of new projects, but let me choose the one that's of interest to you for your library. On October 4th, we are going to show for the first time ever, at the 92nd Street Y, a little film. It's an animated film, Little Rose on a Big Voyage. And what I'm going to do with the rabbi is talk about a book which is of interest to you, Dennis, and your readers. It's called Roller Coaster Grammar, and it's a graphic novel, and it talks about World War II. It talks about my having been an orphan. It talks about the Nazis having picked up my father, but I'm very careful not to talk about the scary aspects of World War II, so that any child, here you can see the book. Mm-hmm. Am I holding it right?
Yeah, move it to the left, your left a little bit.
Okay.
There you go.
And the book talks about my life in the orphanage, but I also, in typical Dr. Ruth fashion, do some funny things. For example, I'm talking about having taken 2 of my 4 grandchildren to an amusement park. And we want to go on a ride. And guess what, Dennis?
What?
They can go on the ride and I'm too short. So here is very typical of me. It says in the Jewish tradition, Dennis, it says a lesson taught with humor is a lesson retained. So that book we are going to present at the 92nd Street Y, and we'll have a discussion. I want to tell you something about the other book. Can you see that?
So, yeah, about
this. You know that I have a collection of turtles. Now, this is a little tricky because of today's reality. Usually I say a turtle has to stick its neck out. It has to take a risk in order to move forwards. And this talks about my grandson being asked to play soccer. We are worrying about it, but he listens to my advice and he plays and he wins. Now, why am I saying it's a little tricky today? Because today I don't want anybody to take risks. But so this is pre-virus and after virus. Here is one more that you don't know yet about. Brand new, hot off the press. Crocodile, you are beautiful. And this is about diversity. This is for kindergarten teachers, for kindergarten children. You know that I used to be a kindergarten teacher. And for example, in this Crocodile, You're Beautiful, I tell little aunts to be happy to be an aunt, because if they cooperate, if they work together, they can build bridges. So I have those 3 children books, and you want to know the biggest new thing for me? Tova Felchu, whom you had yesterday, and who talked about her book, called Lilyville, about the relationship with her mother, but also about the roles she played. Guess what? I'm not in it. She has to have a second edition because she now plays me. In December, it starts at the Museum of Jewish Heritage. Dennis, it's going to be an opening, black tie optional. You just have to bring your beard. Don't bring the baby. It's not for babies, but you have to come and see her play me because she's wonderful. Now she has to do a second edition as of right now because I'm not in it yet. However, Dennis, listen carefully. I'm in very good company. She portrayed Golda Meir. She played Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And guess what? Now she's doing Dr. Ruth. So I'm in good company. And Dennis, somebody like you, who is running a beautiful library, and next year I'm going to be there. You have to come and see her play me.
Yes. Let's talk a little bit about her. Last night, when she did her talk, she acted a little bit as the characters that she's portrayed on stage, including yourself. And she talked, and she was wonderful. She turned into you in front of the camera, and for a second, I thought I was talking to you, even though I had spoken to you on the phone a few minutes before that. And it was really incredible for me to see her become you.
Yes.
How is it for you to sit in the audience and watch her play you?
Hey, all right, you do know that Deborah Jo Rapp played the Marc Saint-Germain's play, the play that Tova is doing right now. So it's not something new for me to be sitting in the audience and having somebody play me. However, I take it differently because Tova is a different person, and Tova made me dance at home in order to dance like me. And Tova came 3 or 4 times to Washington Heights, read the entire play by Marc Saint-Germain. I had to read every line. She read it after me. So these people, Deborah Jo Rapp and Tova, they're working very, very hard. And I am delighted to announce for you and all of your listeners right now that it's coming to the Museum of Jewish Heritage in December. And Dennis, I want to see you and the mother of your gorgeous baby right there. So it's weird on the one hand. On the other hand, because I'm already now used to being on television, of course. So it's interesting for me to hear Tova portray me. And then I have it in my little head. I constantly have that wonderful idea that her next book, tell her that, her next book has to have me in it too. What is that, just Golda Meir, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, her mother, where am I? So that her next edition, she will have to have me in there.
Absolutely. It was very interesting. She talked about you a lot, and she talked about the energy you have and the drive you have, and how your life started off, and the things that you went through were so horrible, and things that a lot of people wouldn't be able to handle. But in studying you, 2 things that really stood out to her were that you stand up very tall and straight, proud and strong, and that you have this energy, and even the way you end your sentences is on a high explosive note, because you have this energy and drive, and you really care about everything you do. And she felt really, that was a really important part of your character. You're
But I
now.
want to tell you something, Dennis. I want to tell you something for the Hamptons, because your library has a wonderful children's library. So I want to tell you something for those mothers and fathers. I did a scientifically validated survey for my master's thesis at the New School for Social Research. I followed the children who left Germany with me on January 5th, 1939, who were able to go to Switzerland. Otherwise, I would not be here. Other children went, 10,000 went to England, 300 to Holland, Belgium, and France. I was on the group to Switzerland. I did a survey of what happened to all of those kids, 50 of them, who were with me. And for you and your children's library and your parents, very important, because we all made it. None of us committed suicide. None of us fell by the wayside. None became clinically depressed. And there is a reason for that. I was 10 years old. The youngest were 6.5. The first years of our childhood, the early socialization, were in an intact family, and that carried us through. And I do believe that in addition to being grateful that I was able to be in Switzerland, because if I had been with a group of German Jewish children to Holland, Belgium, and France, I would not be alive. So I'm grateful to Switzerland, but I'm also want to have that lesson taught in the Hamptons, in your library, that the early years of childhood were so important. That's why I'm very happy. One more plug of a brand new book, and this is called, can you read it? The Doctor is In. Yep. And I talk a little bit about what is called joie de vivre, zest for life. And I do believe that this is very much because of my background. Now, I don't forget what happened. And I'm very sad of today when I hear any of the anti-Semitic talk or television. I'm very sad. I did not think ever that that would happen in the United States in my lifetime. So I'm very happy. You do know Deborah Lipstadt. I'm very happy she's now going to be an ambassador talking specifically about anti-Semitism. She's going to be in Washington. I don't know if she was already interviewed or not. So we have to be, Dennis, you run a beautiful library. You make enough money, but you have to make a little more today, because I have to hear that out of this talk, you made some more money. So you run a beautiful place, and we have to be optimistic that things will get better. I belong to the people who are an endangered species. I'm 93. I don't take any chances. I go with my daughter. I'm up here with my son-in-law, and I'm not taking chances. I'm, of course, vaccinated. 2 already. When they give out a booster, I'll be the first one to take it. So that's the lesson of today.
Let's ask you to give a couple more lessons, since I think many people that are watching look at you not only as a therapist, but also as a teacher. You're at 93. It seems like you've discovered the secret to being happy and healthy and having a great family and a long life. So say, what's one point of advice you would give to somebody who just graduated college, to a couple that just had a baby, and then also to a couple who just retired? Each are at a different point of their life, thinking about, all right, now what am I going to do? What would you say to each of them?
Okay, first of all, to be grateful to be alive, and to be grateful that we have the vaccine, and to be careful. Now, I will start with the older people first. There is a book I did, Dr. Ruth's Guide to Older for Sex, and I'm telling older people, even in the Hamptons, Dennis, not to have sex at night, to go to bed, get up in the morning, go to the bathroom, have a little breakfast, go back into bed. And make sure that you are what is called sexually, not liberated, but sexually aware that, for example, older men, you are too young, but older men will not have an erection without the penis being touched. So we have to teach that not to expect an erection that is just happening every morning like you used to.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to teach a couple, that an older couple, sex doesn't have to be at the same time. If he wants to have more sex, give him as many orgasms as he wants, but do realize that it takes a longer time, and be gentle. For women, loud and clear, even in the Hamptons, never to engage in intercourse with a not well lubricated vagina, because then it's painful and it hurts, and she's going to say who needs it. So there is a body of scientifically validated data, of knowledge about sex for older people. And it's not true that women don't like to have sex in the morning. If they have a partner who knows how to bring them to sexual satisfaction, go to sleep, and then get up in the morning, enjoy that your kids are out of the house, in college or working, and that you have the house to yourself. After a little breakfast, go back into bed. A lot of caressing. That's the advice for today for older people.
For the older people. Okay.
Now, you have a lot of parents of young people.
Yeah.
Very difficult to find the time to have sex when the kids are not around.
Mm-hmm.
So here's my advice. Go to sleep. Put the alarm at 4 in the morning. Have sex, go back to sleep. Let me know if it works. I see you smile. You have a little baby at home.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want personal stories, but I want you, Dennis, because I know you well.
Yep.
I want you to tell me if it works. The
Okay.
alarm, have sex, enjoy it, and not only that, maybe he or she have different needs. Some women might have more experiences than others. If she wants to have more orgasms, get a vibrator, give her an orgasm, tell her that you love her. If he wants to have more ejaculations, give him an orgasm, turn around and go back to sleep. That works for the Hamptons.
Okay, well, now what would you say to somebody who just graduated from college, or somebody in that age group?
Okay, in that age group, please do me a favor. I'm Jewish. I want people to be married, and I want to have next generation babies. So make sure you go to a college where there is a possibility of finding somebody that you like, and somebody that you will fall in love, and somebody that you might raise a family. Don't rush it. Enjoy that you are now, that you graduated high school, that you are going to college. Hopefully that virus is going to be done in a few weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Be careful, but enjoy that you can meet new people. Don't stay in your room only. If you are a little shy, make sure you find somebody to go with. Some people are a little shy to get into a Hillel, a group of like-minded people, or find a group of something. Like I tell you what is very good. If there is a group that goes skiing, I used to be a super good skier. Like Black Diamond skier, I used to love it.
Mhm.
And skiing is very good to find like-minded people, because at 4 o'clock, the lifts close. There is no other choice but to go have maybe a drink. If you don't drink, have a cup of tea, and find some people who already like what you like because you like to ski. And make sure that you don't sit in your room, but that you find something to do. Maybe you like photography, then find a group that goes out on weekends to take pictures of birds and flowers and hiking. There's no way that anybody can tell me that they don't find something at the college that is of interest to them. And if you're a little shy, find somebody who's also a little shy and go together.
Good
And
advice.
guess what? Your library and your books can be of help. You can have seminars, which you do.
Yep.
And you know that people will come to the seminar in order to learn something, to buy some books, of course, from your bookstore, but also to enjoy other like-minded people.
Yep, good advice. I'll tell the audience that we are going to take questions through the chat. So if you want to type in your questions, I can read them to Dr. Ruth when we get a little further into the interview.
No last names.
No last name. I won't say anybody's name.
Then it's only first names.
What you showed us some of the children's books you wrote. What gave you the idea to start writing children's books? What was the inspiration to that? Because it's a
wonderful question.
Really different than the other books you've written.
Right. Dennis, that's a wonderful question, because my life, I started to be a kindergarten teacher. My grandmother in Frankfurt said I should be a kindergarten teacher. I'm so short. I would fit into those little chairs. So in my heart, I probably have remained a kindergarten teacher. So despite the fact that I talk about sex from morning to night, there is a corner in my heart that is very much a kindergarten teacher. I was a kindergarten teacher in Israel, and I was a kindergarten teacher in Paris, France, while I went to the Sorbonne to study psychology at the Institute of Psychology. So there is some part of me that is still thinking about the grandmother who was smart to say I should sit in I should fit into those little chairs. And on the other hand, it's nice to be Dr. Ruth, because the book Sex for Dummies, they just called me to do a 4th edition. I didn't even call them.
Wow.
You know what that means? You are in the book business all day long.
Yeah.
That means that they sold enough to have a 4th edition. Guess what else?
What?
By next year, there is a book that I did, The Art of Arousal. Beautiful illustrations with somebody from the Metropolitan Museum in New York. Guess what? They just called me. There's a new edition. It's being printed right now while you and I talk. So if you invite me again next year, I will have plenty of new books.
Yeah, we're going to need a bigger table.
Bigger table.
Do you think you're going to write more children's books? And do you think you're going to write more sex books other than new editions?
I told my grandson and my granddaughter just got a new puppy, dogs. I don't want to live with a dog, but they are very happy with theirs. I did tell my granddaughter Leora, she has to write a book with pictures about the dog, because the dog, both of them, Ari, my grandson's dog, and Leora, my granddaughter's dog, are really very cute. Thank God I don't have to take care of them. But they should write, and then maybe I will write the foreword by saying, look, Dennis, how interesting. So many young people, many more than before, young couples are having dogs. Manhattan is full of dogs. That has something to do with loneliness. It has something to do with maybe the taking care of another living being. I don't have an answer for that. But I told both of them that since they are so crazy about their dogs, and the dogs are cute. Oh, come here, I tell you a secret. Fortunately for me, my apartment building in Manhattan, Washington Heights, does not permit dogs.
Really?
So I'm very happy they have dogs. I'm out in the country right now in a bungalow. They can bring the dogs, but they can't leave the dog with me. So my building did me a big favor, which I never even knew that they would have dogs. You see that what I can do, despite the fact that I had such a tragic childhood. At the age of 10 and a half, there is a film, Dennis, that you have to get, which will be shown. I told you at the 92nd Street Y for the first time, an animated film of my getting on a train to Switzerland and then on a big, big ship to then Palestine. I didn't know that I would be talking to Dennis and the Hampton people.
That's really, really great. When they called and asked you to do a new edition of Sex for Dummies, talk a little about how that works so that the audience understands. Does that mean, what do you do now when you do that?
Okay, I tell you what I do. I took a friend of mine, Raoul Gallopy, who is a professor in New Jersey at Montclair State University. He's the chairman, and he is gay, and he and his partner are good friends of mine. So I said, there is some things about gay life and gay sex, even so there's a book by Dr. Charles Silverstein called The Guide to Gay Sex. There are things that I don't know. I said, you write the chapter. He did. I also asked him to write something about that event of now that everybody talks about, Me Too, because I just don't know about it enough. And I don't talk about things that I don't know. So I rather admit, here is an area that I don't know. Please, you do right. So, and they did, and that's working very well for me, that I have this cooperation. You know, Dennis, I'm still teaching at Teachers College, Columbia University, every spring a seminar on the family as depicted in the media. And I have students who sit in China and who are on that Zoom. Now, it's terrible that we had to have that, but it's an amazing thing that I'm sitting in Washington Heights in my apartment, Miriam or somebody is putting me on the Zoom because I don't want to touch it. I'm not computer literate, and I can talk to China and can tell them what they have to do in order to get an a good term paper and a good final.
So that's great. So you're able to really reach people differently than before.
Yes.
And a much bigger audience.
Right.
That's great.
Do you know how many people do we have right now?
think we have 25 right now.
Okay, tell them to give you money for the library.
Many of them have already paid. What is the favorite book that you've worked on? Is it The Doctor Is In, or?
I can't tell you which one is the favorite because it's like with children. You can't ask a mother which one is your favorite child or grandchild. So right now, I'm very happy with that children book, Crocodile, You're Beautiful. I like the way I can say crocodile. Say it.
Crocodile.
I know you're pretty good. Crocodile, You're Beautiful, because it's for little ones. And I like the one Roller Coaster Grammar. And then I do like that one that you do have, The Doctor Is In, because it's kind of captures a little bit what I have been doing all these years. So it talks a lot about sex. That's what people want to hear.
Now, you're 93, you obviously are still working a lot. So you're teaching, you're creating new books, you're creating a film.
I'm meeting with Tova Feldschuh.
Meeting with Tova. Actually, that was an interesting thing that Tova mentioned also. She said that not only did you meet with her before the play, but that you were calling her every day so she could hear you and stay in tune with your character. That you cared enough about it that you wanted her to be in touch with you every day. And
That's true.
That hadn't happened with another character that she portrayed. She felt your involvement was way above and beyond what would normally happen, which speaks a lot about your character too.
That's true. And I have to tell you that I'm delighted that the Museum of Jewish Heritage is going to have the play the whole month of December. And I'm very happy because I'm on the board of the museum. And that's a little bit, Denise, like my paying back for the luck and for the good fortune that I have to be alive and that I can be on the board of the Museum of Jewish Heritage. I have to tell you something funny. I'm on the board of Fort Tryon Park because I live nearby. And I love that park, right on Fort Washington Avenue. We just got 500 tulips, bulbs, tulips for free from Holland. They will be planted next spring. And there's something I've never seen in my life. The tulips are short and vibrant, very colorful and short. So we'll have a big party. You have to come.
Sure.
At Fort Tryon Park when they bloom.
Yeah, that's going to be beautiful.
It's nice. There is no question that when I say nice to be Dr. Rose, I mean it.
Let's see. Somebody asked if we are recording the event. We are, and it'll be posted on the library's YouTube page, probably within the next 2 weeks. Another guest named Rachel says that she heard you speak once in the past and that you said you liked Swedish fish, but you can't have a lot of sugar. And she's asking if you ever tried low sugar ones. But she says they're available.
Of no sugar of what?
Low Swedish fish.
Fish?
Yeah, Swedish fish, the candy.
Oh, I love those.
Yeah.
I love those. And I'm looking for some that are no sugar. But if I can't get it, they'll bring me the one with sugar. I'm trying not to eat too many of those. But I love those sweet fish.
Let's see. We have a question that says, what do you think about babies sharing a room with their parents? Do you have advice? Is it a good idea, a bad idea?
Look, I know from experience, I was a single mother raising Miriam until I married Ruth Westheimer and had Joel. And I know that some people have no choice. There is one bedroom.
Yeah.
Then I say, make sure you make the best of it. Make sure, even if you have very little money, that you get somebody to take the child out for a walk so that you can have some sex. Or hopefully that the child sleeps so soundly that if you don't make too much noise, that you can have sex. The other thing I would suggest, have sex in the living room, have sex in the kitchen, but make sure that if your reality is one bedroom, that you move that child to another corner so that you can have good sex. And then call me and tell me, or call Dennis and tell me if it worked. Put me down already, Dennis, for next year.
We are. Next year, if everything goes right, we're planning to have the largest authors night ever. And you're going to be at one of the head tables because you're the best bookseller we've ever had.
All right, say that again. I like that.
You are the best bookseller we have ever had.
I see you smiling.
You're amazing. The event at the 92nd Y, the film that's made, it's a film, it's taken right from the graphic novel?
No, I tell you what, in the documentary, which is shown on Hulu right now, about a documentary about my life, and there is a little segment of animation by an Israeli fellow by the name of Eyal. I was very worried, Dennis. When I heard animation, I said, oh my gosh, they're going to make me look like Mickey Mouse, or they're going to make me look like, who knows, maybe Shirley Temple. But they're going to make me look like somebody I'm not. As he's brilliant in the documentary on Hulu, in that animation, it's wonderful. And the 15 minutes of film for children, which you will get eventually after the showing at the 92nd Street Y. And then it will go from the Shoah Foundation, Steven Spielberg. Will go to all of the Holocaust museums. And I love what he did. It shows me sad when I say goodbye to my father, who was taken by the Nazis, whom I then never saw again. And it shows how sad I was to say goodbye to my grandmother from Frankfurt and my mother. It shows it beautifully designed, and it makes me very moved when I see it, because I can remember how I felt. But at the same time, Denise, already at the age of 10 and a half, I knew that I had to do what my father did. When he was taken by the Nazis, he waved to me and smiled, despite the fact that he must have been horrified. That's in the book, Holocaust Grammar. And in that new 15-minute segment, I smile. Even so, I was very sad when I say goodbye to my mother and grandmother, because I didn't want them to be so sad. And then what I did, I made all of the children on the train to Switzerland, I made them all sing the songs of the synagogue that we knew, the German children's songs, and some songs that we even made up. So on that train ride into Switzerland, despite the sadness, I already realized that I have to be helping younger kids to be able to be an older sister.
It's pretty incredible that you were able to do that.
I'll tell you another story if I have time.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, on that train ride that I just described, this is not in the documentary and I don't know why. On that train ride was a little girl, Matilda, or maybe it is in there, who cried. And I gave her the only doll that I took from Frankfurt into Switzerland, because I said, she is younger than me and she needs the doll more than me. And I still remember that. And then maybe many years later, I met her in the United States. And I said, she's not alive anymore. I said, do you remember that I gave you my only doll from Frankfurt am Main? She said, no. I wanted to hit her.
Oh, geez.
I didn't. But you know what? In the story, in the documentary, there is a washcloth, and Tova has it, not the real one. Tova will show it in the play. It's a washcloth from Frankfurt am Main. It says K.S. Carola Siegel. My name was Carola Ruth Siegel. And that washcloth I still have, which I don't know. I don't know why I have washcloth, but I still have that all of these years, now that I'm 93. And Tova will show that washcloth. And then the sentence that Tova says, that Mark Saint-Germain wrote, is that how glad I am to be alive. Hitler is dead, and I'm alive and have 4 grandchildren. So that's the brilliant Mark Saint-Germain, who just did now a play about what's her name? Roosevelt's Eleanor. Eleanor is the play's name.
Do you think there's a chance we'll see Roller Coaster Grandma and your other children's books created into animated shows?
I would like to.
Yeah.
I know that it's terribly expensive, but after you and my talk, and after you are going to show the 15-second, 15-minute, not 15 seconds, 15-minute film after October 4, you can get the film, and you get it for free. Write down Shoah Foundation, and then I said you have to get it for free.
Okay, I will. And we'll share it with the community. That'll be great.
Yes.
Are you doing any public appearances, or are you doing everything on Zoom? Are there places
I do
that people
everything on Zoom.
Yeah.
Because I feel strongly, and I agree with my daughter Miriam, who keeps me like in a safe place. I feel strongly to be careful. But I am vaccinated, and if there is a booster shot, I'll be the first one in line to get it.
Great.
And everybody who is listening to you and me, Dennis, should know that you and I have a date for next year in East Hampton. And tell again, what is that going to be?
It's going to be the second Saturday in August, next
But
summer.
tell them you have a name for it, the biggest.
Authors Night. It's going to be the
Right.
biggest Authors Night we've ever had. And we would like to have you at the Children's Fair signing your children's books also.
I do both.
That'd be great.
So I'll do both. Tell Patty Kenner I'll be there.
Great.
Tell her that we mentioned her that she'll be happy.
We're close to wrapping up. If the guests have any more questions.
I hope they wrote down. If not, you give them a note that I talked about Tova's book. Tell her, and then tell her to do a second volume, starting right now with me in it.
Tova's going to be here tomorrow signing her book, so I'll talk to her and tell her that.
Yeah, tell her
That will
to
be
do
great.
a second volume with me in it. Okay.
I will.
She's there going to sign actually in person.
Yes.
Wonderful.
Yep.
Wonderful.
I guess we talked last year, and we were in the pandemic, everything was still locked down. And you mentioned, giving people advice and to be really careful and not to go out and ways to try to meet people. Has that changed in your mind? Do you still think it's good for people who are looking to meet a partner to use online apps and things like that?
That's a very important question. And the answer is yes. People should use anything, but they should be careful.
Mhm.
Because you can say on an app, you can say things that are not so, and you have to be careful. But I'm all for, especially now with this virus, I don't want lonely people of all ages. And then when you talk to somebody, don't tell about the misery. Don't tell about how terrible it is. We all know that. Tell something that is optimistic and that is forward-looking, that you listen to Dennis and Dr. Ruth, and that you are going to see Tova Feldschuh sign her book tomorrow. Do something positive. Because everybody has a sad story. When you start a new relationship, put the sad stories aside. There will be plenty of time later to talk about them.
Good advice.
That's a good advice for Dennis and his library. How many people do you have tomorrow who sign?
We have 20 authors tomorrow and 200 guests.
But that's wonderful.
It's going to be great.
You really work very hard, Dennis.
We have one question from
Yeah.
Heather, who's asking if you're able to keep contact with any of the children on the train with you.
I did do a study,
Yeah.
a follow-up study to find out where they are. I'm still in touch with a few of them who are in Israel. I go every year. I did not go this year.
Mhm.
I don't know when I'm going next, but I still have some contact because we were like brothers and sisters. We fulfilled the need of like a brother and a sister for because of becoming orphans.
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah. So in your family being taken away, in a sense, it created a bigger family of you and all of
No question.
the children on the train.
Right, and you and your baby are part of it too.
I can't wait for Lucy to meet you.
Right. So you have a very successful day tomorrow.
Thank you very
And
much.
if I was not 93, I would be there.
We know that. Well,
Tell everybody I would be there.
we look forward for safer times when you can be here and you can be the star of the show.
Perfect. I like that.
All right. Have a good night and thank you for joining us.
Yeah.
Thank you to all of our
Dennis.
guests.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.